Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and I thought it was about that time of year, about a year ago this time actually, we did this exact same series of videos where I kind of try and give you guys some ideas of what cards you should hold on to that are going to go into Wild, that are going to rotate from Standard to Wild, which hasn't been officially announced, but very likely to be very early April, and give you guys an idea of how to save up your dust for that next Standard rotation, or possibly just cards you might want to use now, because a lot of these cards aren't very good. I will note that if you don't plan on playing Wild, or you don't plan on playing Duels or Classic, you might as well disenchant everything, but I will recommend holding on to as much as you can, because those modes can be a lot of fun. And you also, I will put this asterisk out there, you never know what cards can end up being busted at some point. Some legendary that is absolutely useless now might be enabled by something in the future, so if you have that hesitancy, then don't disenchant. But a lot of people work on a budget and want to know what cards they just shouldn't hold on to or feel they shouldn't hold on to, and I'll give my best advice. So again, there's a fair warning on that you might end up regretting it at some point, especially if it's usable in Duels or another mode, etc., or even a Tavern Brawl. You never know. But I wanted to put that out there for those budget players, and I know there's a lot of you out there, so that's for these people. And again, if you're tuning in and you're not one of those people, then you can just hear me crap on bad cards that I don't think you should hold on to. So today we're going to start with epics, and tomorrow we'll start with legendaries. So if you would do me a huge favor, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel so you'll get notified. You help the channel out a ton. We're on that road to 50k. We're a long ways away, but I think we can get there, so all the support would be super helpful. So let's start off with Ashes of Outland. We're going to look at the epics that I feel like there's just no point in keeping for basically any format, and I'll put asterisks out there if I think there's an exception. So there are a lot of epics from Ashes of Outland that are probably not worth keeping. First being the Demon Hunter card Pit Commander. It's a gigantic taunt demon that could cheat out another demon. Demon Hunter basically really sucks in Wild as is, and the only strategies that have ever succeeded at all so far have all been aggressive, and Pit Commander does not fall into that. Hell, this card was barely playable in Standard its entire run, so it's a pretty safe disenchant. For Druid, we have a Druid card, a Marsh Hydra. It's a 7-mana 7/7 rush. It adds a random 8-drop to your hand. Again, another card that never really saw play in Standard and Wild. Good arena card, good fringe like big Druid meme card, but overall never made the cut, and it certainly has seen zero meta play in Wild. We have Augmented Porcupine, the 3-mana 2/4 Epic Hunter Beast that deals damage equal to its attack. You gotta buff this thing up. It doesn't really fit into any strategy in Wild. Even the more meme stuff that I would recommend is like the Death Rattle stuff, right? And it doesn't even fit into that very well. It needs that hand buff. It's just not really worth the cut, so I'd have to say Augmented Porcupine, not worth holding on to. Another Hunter card, and I'll put an asterisk on this one, is Nagrin Slam, the 10-mana spell that gives you 4 3/5s, and they all attack random targets, enemy targets. I will say though, if you really like Spiteful Summoner decks, I haven't really seen anyone play Spiteful Summoner Hunter. It's probably worth keeping because you get a 10 drop off of it, and that's all right. But other than that, I probably wouldn't recommend holding on to it. For Mage, we have a couple of epics, both Apexis cards. We have Apexis Smuggler, the 2-mana 2/3, that after you've cast a secret, you discover a spell. This value, even in Secret Mage, which has been a good deck in Wild, never made the cut, not the good list at least, and I wouldn't recommend holding on to it. And the same goes for Apexis Blast, 5-mana deal 5. You know, even the spell heavy decks, it's just, you're not bothering with it. You don't even bother with it in Standard. You have a lot better options. You're just doing the Ignite broken stuff anyways in Wild or something else. It's probably not worth your time. One Priest epic I'll mention is Skeletal Dragon, 7-mana 4/9 dragon that adds a dragon to your hand. Not really worth it unless you want to play a really bad big Priest deck. We have a Rogue Secret Bamboozle. When a minion is attacked, it transforms into a random one that costs 3 more. Barely sees play in Standard, doesn't see any in Wild. There are some Secret Rogue variants out there, but none of them really use Bamboozle. We have Shattered Rumbler. This card was even buffed in Shaman. It has like an AoE effect, elemental synergies, just not really a good card, not worth your time. Shadow Council for Warlock. Trump may have given this like 5 or 4 stars, but it has never been a player in both Standard and Wild, but it's a fun meme card if you want to hold on to it for that reason. We have a neutral card in Replicatotron. It's like a 4-mana 3/3 mech that copies itself. Unless you really like playing like mech Mech Hunter or Mech Paladin, where it can be okay. It's worth holding on to for those decks. You probably don't need to bother. And we have Waste Warden, 5 mana 3/3, meaning that will deal 2 damage to all similar tribes, even in like Shutterwalk decks. This sees no play, and it's a good battle cry, so it can tell you that card's probably not worth it. For Scholomance Academy, we have a lot less suggestions. We have first another Demon Hunter card, another big demon, Ancient Void Hound, an absolute giant minion that sucks the stats out of others. I think it's 9 mana 10/10 off the top of my head. I don't have it in front of me, but it sucks the stats, it seals the stats. Again, big demons have not worked out. Really cool card, insane arena card, not really a good wild card or duels card or anything like that. We have a dual class card in Runic Carvings for Shaman and Druid. You summon 4 Treants, you can give them Rush and Overload too. Even in Totem Shaman, which can be a deck in Wild, it's too slow for that, and you're never using it in Druid. I don't think it's worth holding on to. We have a Hunter card I forgot existed, Crowlusk, a Bark Stripper. It's like a 4 mana 3/5 Spellburst beast that kills a random enemy. Not really worth it. There's better stuff to do, just not very good. We have another dual class card here, Ceremonial Maul for Warrior and Paladin, 3 mana 2/2 weapon spellburst. You get a taunt of the same size of the spell. Big Paladin's kind of a thing in Wild, but they don't even bother with Ceremonial Maul. There's better options, even for Wild Paladin, and Warrior doesn't do it either. I would not hold on to this. We have Void Drinker. It's a taunt, 5 mana taunt, basically an Earth Elemental for Warlock if you have Soul Fragments, but Soul Fragments in Wild just don't, they're not a thing in either Demon Hunter or Warlock, so I'd not hold on to Void Drinker. And we have Enchanted Cauldron, which is a 3 mana 1/6 spell burst. Basically, you'll cast a spell the same cost. Unless you want to meme with Enchanted Cauldron, keep it. Otherwise, get some good dust, because this card's bad. You probably disenchanted this one already. But yes, Enchanted Cauldron, definitely not a meta player anywhere else. And then we have Midas at the Darkmoon Faire. First, starting off, we have Fellsteel Executioner. It's a whole corrupt minion, which is a 3 mana 4/3 that can turn into a big weapon. Not really meta in either Standard or Wild. I've never seen this in Wild, period. And I don't expect it to see any play anytime soon. We have Don't Feed the Animals, another corrupt card, a hand buff card for Hunter. It's 2 mana, gives beast in your hand +1/+1. It gets corrupted, it's +2/+2. Not really a thing in Standard, not really a thing in Wild, and again, don't see that happening anytime soon. We have a Malevolent Strike. This is a 5 mana Assassinate for Rogue, and that got buffed after this card came out, by the way, but it can go down to 0 if you have like Cthulhu cards or you shuffled stuff in. Rogue does not struggle with removal. They've never needed this card, and the only person I know that's ever played this card is the Jiminator. He plays the worst Rogue decks ever. He'll admit it. He still hasn't hit Legend this month, and Malevolent Strike is in his deck. There is correlation. You don't want to play this card or keep this card. We have Revenant Rascal. This one's probably more borderline. It's a decent little disruption card for Warlock. 3 mana 3/3. Both players lose a mana crystal. Can be okay in Zoo and stuff, but there's just way better options in Warlock in Wild, especially the discard stuff going on. Revenant Rascal just doesn't really make the cut. We have Ringmaster's Baton, a warrior weapon. It's like a 1/3. It's like a menagerie weapon. Menagerie warrior, not a thing in Wild. I don't know if it's ever been a thing in Wild, and yeah, it's just not worth it. And speaking of that, we have got Tint Thrasher, the 5 mana 5/5 rush. Again, it gets cheaper for every tribe on the board for warrior, and again, I've never seen this card see play in Wild, and with all the insane stuff they got going on with like Rush in Wild, where you have Skipper and Town Crier, I don't think you're ever wasting your time with the 10th Thrasher. We have Horrendous Growth, which again, I forgot was a card. 2 mana 2/2 neutral minion that gains +1/+1 every time it's corrupted, and it's like infinitely. Unless you're going for a meme mark OTK combo, this card has seen 0 play on any ladder ever, and even in Arena, it was like okay-ish, not the best pick. We have Death Warden. It's a 3 mana neutral minion, I believe a 2/5. Death Rattles can't trigger while this is alive, but you might as well play, mass silence effects or just anything better than this. Again, not worth it, and it can disrupt your own Death Rattles. I've never seen this card hard run in a deck, period. And we'll leave off with a card I actually really like. I think is really cool, but doesn't really have a place in Wild, and that's Darkmoon Rabbit. It's a 10 mana 1/1 and has that cleave effect of killing 3 things, and it can be okay in like an alignment druid. It's kind of cool there. there. But other than that, pretty niche and probably not worth holding on to. So those are my suggestions of the epics you really don't need to hold on to in the upcoming rotation if you need that dust to craft that latest deck or craft a future deck. And yeah, tune in tomorrow where I will recommend specific legendaries that I feel you don't need to hold on to. And don't worry, I don't list a single old god. Hold on to your old gods, but other than that, pretty much everything else is free games. So if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.